directly moving on to the philosophy and not analyzing your own research, ontology, epistemology, or axiology. That will makes you a bit difficult, okay, to give any reason regarding the research. Okay, so we have to understand. Okay, when the slide is on. So you have to, did you analyze any of those ontology or epistemology of your research? Have you? If not, have you formulated your research question? Those who have formulated your research question, that also help you to choose the research philosophy. Okay, if anybody have you formulate the research question for your research? Have you formulated your research question?
Yes, of.
Okay, so that can you please share that research question? Okay, you can write only one. Okay, single research question. Just now, for example, okay, which philosophy will guide that research question, or which philosophy is suitable in that context? Because that also help somehow. Okay, somehow, if you are not able to analyze your own ontology and epistemology of your research, then we have to deal with the research question. Yes, we have already told that part. Research question and research objective are the core fundamental part of the research, which guide us to choose eventually the layer of the onion. Okay, that is the thing. So that research question that we have formulated, okay, suppose I like to give one simple example. In yesterday also I've given that example. uh, in digital well-being, okay, excessive use of technology and its impact on student mental health, and that is the title that I formulated on that example. The research question for that is, what is the percentage of students that are being affected mentally by excessive use of technology? Okay, I'm going to find the percentage of student. So that research question, okay, that research question helped me to choose the philosophy, because what I'm trying to do, the answer, epistemological part, can you say what kind of knowledge that I'm going to generate? I'm going to generate the knowledge in terms of number, because I'm going to find the percentage of student. That is how I'm going to generate the number, and I will know that when I complete to give that percentage, my overall research will be completed. Okay, I know the scope, I know the what I should generate from my research. Okay, and that indicate the type of nature of my research. Okay, because what is the percentage that indicate the number that I'm going to generate, and calculation of percentage or using some mathematical model, that will be helped by the positivism philosophy, because it is adapted by the natural science. Is adapted by the natural science, and it uses the mathematical formula, statistical tool to analyze the data and reach to a conclusion. If I'm going to analyze from the interpretism perspective, then there might be other thing. Okay, other reason might be, the title might be that what is the reason that students are not able to focus on their class, or something like that. If I want to find the reason, okay, from the student perspective and perspective of other, then that will help me to guide through the interpretism philosophy, because I am taking up, I need to reach to a conclusion from the experience and opinion of my participant. Yes, I am including their experience, opinion, okay, and social context for that particular um, research. So that will help me to choose the interpretism philosophy. So moving on to just the first example, what is the percentage? I simply choose the positivism philosophy, because as the positivism philosophy focus on the empirical, which focus on observation and measurement, I can calculate the average student percentage through mathematical tool. That is the knowledge I am going to generate. Okay, so that guides me to choose the positivism philosophy according to the knowledge that I'm going to explore. Okay, I'm not talking about the ontology in this section, because I'm moving from that way. If you are not clear about the ontology, epistemology, then you have to focus on your research question and relate that research question with the philosophy. Okay, I'm just saying that. And that when I choose the positivism philosophy, then you know that other layer of the onion will be the basic part for me. Okay, for proposal, if I'm not clear, okay, if I'm not clear, then I can simply choose the positivism philosophy, help me to choose the deductive approach for theory development, because it is trying to prove something, or it is trying to start from some statement. Yes, because the students are affected by excessive use of technology, that is the statement, and I need to prove that it is true. So this lead to me choose the deductive approach for theory development. Okay, I'm trying to find certain number which support my statement. Yes, now moving on to the research strategy. Okay, again I'm repeating this part. Okay, moving on to the research strategy, as you already know that if I choose the positivism philosophy, then it will help me to choose the deductive approach. And for research strategy that is suitable for that context is experiment and survey, because experiment and survey focus on observation and measurement. Okay, you are going to observe the phenomenon experiment, and you are going to ask the predefined set of question on survey. Okay, predefined set of question. You are not you do not ask any of those opinion or detailed explanation from the participant regarding the context. You just define the predefined, you just prepare a predefined set of question and you are going to ask that question. So the experiment and survey are uh, related with the positivism. And again you can move that strategy from downward. Okay, that mono method, mixed method and multi method. If you are not clear on the strategy, suppose if you are not clear on the strategy, then you can just leave that strategy layer and you can move on the method. Okay, if you are clear on the method, then that method will help again you to choose the strategy. Okay, suppose you are going to choose the quantitative research method, because I'm going to find what is the percentage of students that are being affected by excessive use of technology. So I'm going to generate the quantitative result in terms of number. Yes, so that is the mono method quantitative. Okay, and if I'm not clear about the research strategy, I'm clear about the research method, then again that quantitative research method is exclusively associated with experiment and survey, because that will generate the result in terms of number, in terms of quantity, quantitative value. Okay, survey and experiment, that is the basic features of the strategy. So if you are not clear about the research strategy, then you can uh, clear, if you are clear on the research method, that will also help you to choose the other layer. Okay, and moving on to the cross-sectional and data collection, that is the basic of requirement. And since I simply asked one simple question regarding the findings, the quantitative results for my research, okay, then according to that quantitative data, I'm going to choose the data collection technique. So to collect the quantitative data, the best data collection method will be the questionnaire and observation. Yes, questionnaire and observation are the data collection technique. Structured interview also sometimes used. Structured interview means this is basically combined with the questionnaire. Okay, structured interview are basically combined with the questionnaire. And in data analysis, okay, in data analysis, what you use the statistical tool. Okay, there are certain tools that you are going to use. And for quantitative research, what kind of analysis or how you do analysis, we will study that part also in this semester. It might not be so deep. In next semester we'll study that part on a bit more detail. Okay. So in this way the philosophy will guide to the inner layer of the onion, and your research question is always there to help you. If you are confused in any layer, then you can simply see your research question, and suppose that is the research question is that I formulate simply one. So what if other research question that I formulate, which somehow adopt the interpretism philosophy, or somehow need to implement the interpretism philosophy, at that time you can also use that. Okay, you can also use, but they are the two extrema. Okay, they are two extrema of the research. You have to be very careful while using this both philosophy in your single research. Okay, if you think that your research, you are going to include some opinion of participant, but overall your research is focused on quantitative data set. Okay, then at that time there you can modify the certain positivism philosophy. You can modify, you can add some uh, mm, contain on that part, and you can call that as a post positivism. Okay, post positivism we can call that as, because you are going to find the number and you are going to explain that number in the perspective of the participation, which is the little part for the research, but main part is to do the quantitative research. And if there is certain part, okay, certain part which is necessary to explain the phenomena according to the perspective of participant, then you can say you are going to use the post positivism or interpretism all in that particular context. Okay, you can do that thing. So now moving, okay, we have already discussed that part. Now, if you should be very clear. If you are not clear on your ontology and epistemology, you should be clear on your research question. Okay, that research question will help you to choose each of the layer on the onion. Okay, if you are confused, you simply see your research question and the type of data you are going to find through your research. Okay, and how you are going to find that outcome that will help you to choose the research strategy. So this is just the repetition. So now let's move on to the slide. Okay. So if your research philosophy shows the principle of positivism, then you will probably can answer this. Yesterday also I think we have discussed this part.
Part of the philosophical steps of natural scientists.
Yes. Other anyone who thinks that the answer is other than that? Since the positivism philosophy has been developed from the natural science, yes, so it is a philosophical instant that is adopted by the natural scientists. They focus on the observation and measurement. They do not take any opinion or the perception or experience from anyone or the researcher himself. Okay, they simply focus what they can measure, what they can observe. They will only consider that as a fact. Okay, so that is the thing you need to consider. And you might confuse, you might have a problem. Okay, suppose you simply think that you are going to use positivism, or you are simply going to do the interpretism in your proposal. Suppose based on certain research question you think that you are going to adapt that, but while conducting your research if you realize that I need to add certain modification on that philosophy, okay, because the philosophy does not completely match my need of my research question, so at that time you have flexibility to add that changes in your research. Okay, so if you submit the proposal and while writing that final report in fourth semester, you can change the content, or the you can have the flexibility to refine the content. Okay, you can refine your research methodology at that final research, because during proposal the study that you have given to the researcher might be less, and when you conduct or when you start your execution, then you might be aware of different aspect of the research, so at that time the clarity of the research might be more. So at that time you have flexibility to change any context. Okay, change means we are not going to change rapidly the title, not we are going to change rapidly the research question, but we are going to refine that thing. Okay, to make it clear and to show the reader that what you are trying to do in your research. Okay, so for that part you have the flexibility to refine that question at any moment of the research. Okay, at any moment. Now let's move on to the interpretism philosophy. Since these two philosophy, they are the two extrema of the objectivism versus subjectivism. Yes. So knowledge is dependent on people's perspective. So whatever you find in your research, okay, whatever the conclusion it is, it has been contributed by the experience of people. You are writing that conclusion based on the experience or perspective that you have obtained from the people. You might confuse in that case. So in questionnaire we have collected the data, and we have asked the participants, so we have used the perception of people, so that is totally might not be the case here. Okay, because The people prospection means you are going to ask. If you use the questionnaire or if you take the interview, in-depth interview, then that is associated with the people perspective. Okay, questionnaire with unstructured question or open-ended question, and interview with unstructured interview, that is associated with the interpretism. Okay, that is associated with to collect the perception of the people. So the questionnaire you basically use, it has the predefined set of questions, which is the structure. It follows the structure interview. You are going to ask to the participants that predefined set of question. Yes, you are not going to change the question according to the scenario. You are going to ask same question to different people. And when you ask the question to the participant, what we have done on your research, in project also, computing project also, that you have prepared the set of questionnaire, you have asked to the participant, and you have draw the conclusion from that analysis part. Yes, you have analyzed the result and draw conclusion. So that thing, okay, you might confuse. Okay, I might be using the interpretism because I am asking to the participant to give the answer, and they are giving the answer to my question. So I think I should use the interpretism. So do not be confused with that thing. Okay, that is just the data collection. And when you use the questionnaire, you are already prepared that what question you are going to ask to the participant. Yes, and there are predefined set of answer for those questions. Yes, there are predefined set of answer. So participant does not have flexibility to give his or her answer in his or her own way. Okay, and uh, and you as a researcher also, you are not going to change that thing. Yes, yeah, if you think that participant give you the wrong answer, you are not going to uh, change that to make it correct. Okay, you just simply record the response of the participant, whatever it is. But in questionnaire you can add some open-ended question. Okay, add some open-ended question to ask the view, so that will rise the mix of the philosophy. Because in positivism you are going to ask predefined set of question, which are the predefined set of answer. You just ask the participant, record the response, analyze whatever response that they have given, and accordingly that you are going to show the result. And in interpretism you do not have any set of question. You just move on to the people. You have certain starting point on your mind. You ask the question to the participant, and based on the response of the participants you prepare the other question instantly in your mind and ask that question again. Okay, so in-depth interview is associated with the interpretism. So if you follow that kind of thing, you need to think that I'm using the interpretism. If you follow the questionnaire or experiment, okay, you need to think about the positivism philosophy. You need to be very clear. Okay, so knowledge cannot be measured like measuring the table. Okay, if you want to show the experience of people, whether the people are so hard to live, or what they feel emotionally, or something like that, okay, then that kind of knowledge which cannot be generated is focused by the interpretism philosophy. So these are mostly adapted by social science. Okay, social science. Knowledge have multiple perspective, as we already discussed. That multiple perspective focus on the multiple reality, because each people might see the context or scenario from the different perspective. So you are going to record the people perspective, and if you ask the different people, you will get the different perspective. So different people, different perspective will result on different understanding or multiple knowledge. Okay, so knowledge is different to different people. One particular knowledge cannot be generalized for all. That means, suppose you are going to study about the malnutrition or something like that, or other, okay, socially inactive people or socially discarded people effect or situation. If you are going to study that thing in a rural village of our country or some community, okay, and you find the certain result on that community, then that result cannot be implemented to other part of the society, because it is totally dependent on that group of population. Okay, that is totally dependent on that group of population. So the particular knowledge that cannot be generalized for all, that cannot be generalized to other group of population, other similar group also, it cannot be generalized. Okay, because it is affected by different factors like the demographic factors, social behavior, social context, social entity. Okay, and this kind of thing will affect that knowledge. We have already discussed in positivism also. There it does not affect by uh, prior experience, bias, social context, and so on. Here the knowledge will be affected by the experience, biasness, Okay, social context and behavior that will be affected here. So knowledge depend upon the interpretation, meaningful interpretation. Okay, people's interpretation, and you are going to generate the meaningful interpretation of that knowledge. Okay. So ontology of interpretivism means if you adopt the interpretism philosophy in your research, as an interpretivist, what you need to think or how you can see the reality. You can see the reality as there is no single truth. As in positivism, you see that you have only one reality, yes, for your research. But in interpretism, there is no single reality. How? Because we are going to take the knowledge because it is dependent on people perspective, and knowledge is different to different people. So one particular knowledge cannot be generated. So one particular truth cannot be explored. There might be the multiple reality. Okay, multiple things cannot be uh, uh, can be arise within that research, and truth cannot be measured exactly. Okay, as you see in positivism, it is empirical. We can observe and measure, but here you cannot measure exactly because how you are going to measure the experience or some emotional behavior of the people. Okay, so that things need to be included. That is how you see the reality of the interpretism. So different people live in different reality. Understanding the phenomena leads to the meaningful interpretation. So what you can only do, you are going to only interpret it or give the explanation or write the story or narrative, or you can write something in the text to show your knowledge. Okay, which is again different for different people. So reality is multiple. So in positivism there is only one single reality. We have to find it. In interpretism there is multiple reality because there is no single truth. People have different perspective, people have different knowledge. So based on that knowledge you are going to explore in your research. Or believing in the multiple reality is the ontology of the interpretism. Okay. What I think from my perspective, that might not be the only one reality. You are going to study that thing from the perspective of the people, experience of the people on that particular social context. Okay, so that is the thing. So in social science when you study about the different social behavior, social actions, social activities, and the relationship between the social actor and the social entity, then the interpretism philosophy has been developed from that part. Okay, so it has been adopted by the social science. Okay, in positivism, yeah, it is been adapted by the natural science, which focus on the observation and measurement, that everything that can be observed and measured can only be the truth or reality of the research. But interpretism, not always the things that can be measured can act as a knowledge. There is certain thing that we cannot measure. Okay, people emotion, people behavior, people experience, that can be measured, that can only be explained. Okay, that can only be explained. So they take the other branch of the philosophy and develop their research method. Okay, so that is the thing. So are you clear on the ontology of interpretism? From a study also you might be clear. Yes.
So
Okay. Now the epistemology I have not discussed. If epistemology you can say, okay, because simply how in positivism what is at the valid knowledge, here it is totally uh, opposite. Yes, you see the number, pie chart, some table in terms of graph. As in terms of knowledge and the positivism, you can see the narrative, explanation, text in terms of epistemology of interpretism. And can you share the axiology about the interpretism? If it is extreme to the positivism, then can you please relate the axiology of interpretism? What can be? Do you have any idea? Suppose I like to show one. Sorry. Okay, axiology of positivism is this. So can you please tell me the axiology of interpretism?
Subjectivity leads to the end result.
Yes, that is the thing. Yes, exactly. Subjective values always matter. Yes, and subjective it leads to the end result. And research is value bound. Yes, individual human values matter. That is the thing. Yes, because it is value bound, because we are going to include some value belief of the individual or the participant and as of the researcher also in the research. So individual human value matter in interpretism. This is the axiology of interpretism. Yes, that is the thing. Okay, so now you are clear on that part. So the cycle of research planning, the cycle of research planning, ontology, epistemology. If you are clear on the ontology and epistemology, okay, then you can derive the research methodology, and that methodology will help you to choose the method. Okay, unless and until you are clear about the positivism and interpretism, you cannot move ahead to frame your research. Whether conducting a survey or doing an ethnographic depends on which paradigm you follow. Positivism leads to the quantitative research, and interpretism leads to the qualitative research. This is the standard practice. Okay, this practice has been developed from the um, beginning of the research development of the research activities. Okay, so we are going to follow that best practice in our context also. So this is an example, okay, that I'm showing you. The I have taken from the economics. Okay, this is a research title that I've taken from the professor of economy. The effect of COVID-19 is household economy of middle class people, a survey of Kathmandu metropolitan city. So if this is the title for methodology, what you have to do? You have to consider your research question. Choose your research paradigm, means which research philosophy that or which is your assumption regarding the ontology and epistemology, and write is your philosophical underpinning. That is your own. If you choose the positivism, then you have to write the ontology of your research, ontology, epistemology of your research in writing the philosophical underpinnings. Okay, and you have to go for the research design. As I mentioned, that research design focus on the inner four layer. Okay, the inner four layer in different color. Okay, as you can see, inner four layer of different color is focused by the research design, and here mainly used is the mainly you have to aware of the method. Okay, choice of the method, whether it is the mono method quantitative or mono method qualitative, or you can whether we are going to use both method. Okay, you need to be clear on that part. That inner four layer will be used to design your research. Okay, we'll consider what you need to write also, and you have to discuss the technical part, source, sample, tools, data analysis, data collection analysis technique, strategy. Okay, and you have to consider the quality standard. So that quality standard mainly focus on the requirement of academic body. Okay, and based on the research question and objective, what you are trying to achieve in your research, whether that has been fulfilled or not, or that will help to fulfill or not. Okay, mainly focus on the requirement, and the requirement of the academic body and requirement of the research. And if there is any ethical concern, you have to go for the ethical concern. Okay, if there is any in that methodology part. Okay, in methodology. So linking your research question, because philosophical underpinnings are based on your research question, the research tool are based on your research question, your sample research partition are selected based on your research question. Data collection method depends upon your research question. Data analysis solely depend upon your research question. So what mainly indicate, if you are not clear on the ontology and epistemology of your research also, you have to be very clear on your research question. So what is the purpose of your research, what you are trying to explore in your research. Okay, that need to be very clear, and that will help you to choose the other part of the research, as we have already discussed. Yes. So now, okay, now what is the part of the onion that you need to be chosen? So there is a title: relations between earning per month and saving pattern of household, or survey of middle class people in Kathmandu. That is the research topic. In this research topic, one of the research question would be, what is the correlation between the amount of earning per month and saving pattern of the household? Okay, then your philosophical underpinning is the positivist, because why it is positivist or post positivist, there might be some, you please study about the post positivist. Okay, it is slightly modification of positivism. Post positivism is slightly the modification of positivism. Okay, I will give you one slide for that also, but mainly if you understand the positivism, then other part will be easy for you. Post positivism means if you add certain part, certain explanation only. Okay, if your research is not totally on quantitative data but also some qualitative data, at that time you have little flexibility to adapt the philosophy. Okay, so here it is basically focused on the quantitative data, and you are going to find the result in terms of number. Yes, you are going to find the result in terms of number. You are going to find the pattern. So your philosophical underpinning is the post-positivist. Okay, sorry, positivist one, and your research paradigm will be positivism. Okay, and your research design will be quantitative research. Your research strategy would be survey, because I have mentioned that part, and your data analysis technique will be calculation of correlation. We have found in previous one, what is the percentage of students that are being affected, then your calculation will be average, mean. You are going to mean correlation coefficient, regression analysis, and some other parameter test that is needed for your research. And your theory may be rational choice theory or permanent income hypothesis, or whatever you do, it is based on economic. Right? Okay, your theory might be anything. Okay, it is the theory related with the economy. Okay, if there is any, you have to show that in your context. Okay, now this is the another. Did you understand this example, that research question, how that research question is related with the other part of the research?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now moving on to the another same thing. Okay, same earning per month and saving pattern of the household. Then I'm going to use the an ethnography of middle class people in Kathmandu. So that is something I want to obtain from the people. Okay, previously I want to find the correlation, calculate the correlation in previous example. Okay, what is the correlation? Now my research question will be changed. Now it using the interpretivist. Okay, in this topic, one of your research question would be one of your, okay, how do middle class people perceive saving? Okay, perceive saving mean I want to find something from their perspective, and how do they relate this with their earning pattern? Okay, so how they perceive their saving and how do they relate this with their earning? Okay, so your philosophical underpinnings is an interpretivist one, and your research paradigm will be interpretism, and your research method is qualitative research, um, qualitative research method, and your data collection tool would be the interview, and your data analysis technique will be thick decision, giving meaning to the narrative, finding pattern, linking the data to your chosen theory or theories. That is you have to. Here one thing is missing. Can you find that what thing is missing in this context? Can you say one thing is missing, one is not included there? Can you say? There is no 1 2 3 4 5. There is the 5 things that you can write on the research methodology, but one thing is missing of that part also. Can you say which it is? Can you? Based on the research onion, and there is the philosophy, there is the method, there is the data collection, analysis, and so on. Everything is mentioned, but one thing it has not mentioned. Can you say? Here, from here you can relate what is missing on this part. Please see this for 1 minute, and again I will change the slide here. Okay, then what is missing on the second, you can write simply 1 to 6. You can simply see 1 to 6 here, and you can simply see 1 to 5. What is missing? Theory.
Research strategy.
Yes, research strategy. Research strategy is being the linking to the theory is here. Okay, here is the last. It is added on that 5, but what is missing here is the strategy. So why it has missed the strategy? Can you say? So what can be the strategy for this research? Can you say that also? If
Case study.
So let's move on the onion again. Okay, I'll show the research onion. And please, can you read the title? There is that in title also it is been explained. Okay. Uh, so I will read the title, then I will move on to the research onion. Okay, I think you have read. Okay, now moving on to the research onion. Okay, so can you see the strategy section? So can you say which strategy? One of you says the case study, other
Ethnography.
ethnography. Yes, ethnographic study. Yes, from that particular group of people. So here is in title also it has been indicated. So the writer is not focusing to show the studies in this part, but we have to write. Okay, we have to write the ethnographic study in that context, in ethnography of the middle class people means what that ethnography means in our context. We have to focus. Okay, so these are the things that are associated. But before moving on to this classwork, okay, I like to see what you should write in data analysis section of the methodology that we compass, but mainly the methodology chapter, what you need to write. Okay, can you please screenshot this part? Can you please screenshot image, because this is the thing we need to write in your research question, research methodology chapter. Yes, have you done that part? Have you copied it, or take a picture of this slide, because it is very necessary for us. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now your other part is all clear, but one part is still missing. Can you say which is it? I have covered all the part, but I have not covered one part here, one of those component of the methodology chapter. Can you see which one it is? Can you say which one is I have not covered, or which you cannot write now? Can you? You can write about research question. You can write about research.
Ethical concern, maybe.
Ethical concern you have already written on the ethical form. That your research design part that has I'm not told you that. Yes, you can write about the background and rationale of your design. You can write. You can write the quality standard of your research. I will tell you that is the requirement of you and your research that you have told. But I have not touched the part, the method. So I'm moving. Do you screenshot this slide? Then I will move on to the method, which I've left. Whether you remember or not, I left here on the previous slide. Okay. Oh, now can you please again take the image of this part? Did you take the image of this? We'll come to each part. Okay, we have covered most of the part. We'll cover each of the method part. Okay, you no need to worry. Just we have to focus here. It is mainly focused with data collection and analysis and sampling. Okay, data collection and analysis and sampling. That is the part we are going to cover. Did you take the image of this part? Image? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you can write the methodology. You can start the methodology chapter. Yes, methodology chapter. And what you need to write in data analysis section, again you have to screenshot this, because this is most important. Okay, I'll upload the slide also, but what you need to consider in your research, or whether we have to focus on that part, it is always should be remembered. Yes. This part also will study on quantitative research. Okay, so What should you write in the data analysis section of methodology if you are going to do the quantitative research? I have already mentioned, if you choose the positivism philosophy, mostly the research method will be quantitative research method, because you are going to find the result in terms of number. Yes, so there you have to do the data validation, means whether the data collection was done as per the set standard and without any bias. That is the thing. Means suppose you have set the 100 sample, and you have only asked for the 10 people of the similar community or similar group, if that is the thing. Or on that 100 sample also, 90% of sample do not answer or skip one of those questions that you have asked, then at that time it might result on some biasness, because one answer that has not been given by 90% of your sample, means analyzing that question will surely lead to the biasness. So you have to be careful, okay, careful to set the standard and to do that without any biasness. There should not be any bias in that data that you have collected. And another is data editing, to make sure that editing does not means you need to fabricate certain thing, okay, because the response they have given in might be different way. They might have written unnecessary work or something like that, which is not necessary for your analysis part, okay. Some demographic information, suppose email address, phone number, that is not necessary for analysis part. So that thing you need to be make sure, and other part of the data also, okay, to make sure that there are no such error. The researcher should conduct the basic data check, okay, check for the outliers and edit the raw data to identify and clear out any uh, this screen is not visible to me. Clear out any data points that may hamper the accuracy of the result, if there is any, okay. And data coding, that refers to grouping and assigning values to the response from the survey. Means suppose you have asked the 10 questions, 20 questions, so analyzing individual question by individual response is difficult, okay. So you are going to group. Suppose in my previous example also, digital well-being, mental health, I will ask the some question related to mental health, okay, and I category that set of question on mental health and show the mental health pulses excessive use of technology graph, okay. So, so analyzing individual question is difficult. If it is less, it is okay, but for number of questions more than 10, 20 or 100 questions, individual analysis is difficult. So you are going to group, okay, and assign response for that particular set of questions. You are going to name that group and assign the response value for that question and represent in analysis part, okay. And with the statistical tool to analyze you, so you can use this with the statistical tool, mean correlation, standard deviation, mean, median, mode, average, or anything like that, whatever is suitable in your context, okay. Simple, we do mainly the average. We are going to find the average, and if you find the correlation from the previous research, you have, if you want to find the correlation, then you can do that also, okay. Whatever is necessary in your research, you can do accordingly, okay. These are the things. And if in qualitative research, so analyzing the qualitative research is a bit difficult, okay, than the quantitative research, because in quantitative research you can use the statistical tool, but here qualitative research, no, we cannot use that thing. Yes, so we need to generate some theme from the data. Means if you simply ask the question, what is, or how you think that information technology is doing in our life, if that is the open-ended question for the participant, then how many responses can you obtain? You can obtain the number of responses from the different participant, okay, number of response from the different participant. So what you need to do, you need to generate the theme out of those responses, what they are really trying to say from their perspective. You are going to generate the common theme, okay. So that is the main part of the qualitative research, generating the theme, okay. Coding means you are going to group the certain category that questions to, okay, their response or something like that, based on your necessity you are going to code, and main part is to generate the theme. Okay, we'll discuss that part also regarding the qualitative and quantitative research, okay. These are always associated for data collection also. This will help you to guide the data collection detail. This will help you to do your research analysis part also, okay. It is very helpful for us to understand in depth about the qualitative and quantitative research. Okay, and other part, ethnographic, narrative, phenomenal, disclosure, grounded theory, based on your research, and whatever is possible, you are going to use that. Okay, so method chapter is that, and now moving on to the one part that I've missed is the method. Okay, okay, which is purely technical, means just you are going to show, you need to show the step. Okay, it is purely technical. You are not going to use your philosophy or certain kind of thing. Okay, assumption is not so usable here. So you are going to just answer in straightforward way. So simply, who are your research participants? You have to write that. What tool of research are you going to use? Say research tool or instrument for data collection or something like that. You are going to use. You need to answer that question on that method of study. Okay, where will your research be conducted? The location of your research or certain area. Okay, what is the process of data or information collection? Okay, that you need to define. How you will analyze your data, whether it is quantitative or whether it is qualitative, or whether you are going to use the combined method. Okay, so what will be the quality standard, reliability, validity, trustworthiness, replicability, conformability, and transferability. Here we'll study about the reliability and validity part. Okay, that need to focus on what you are trying to achieve in your research. Okay, what you are trying to achieve in your research, then it should have measured that part that is associated with validity, correctness, and reliability. It is the replicability. Okay, replicability is associated with reliability, and correctness is associated with validity. So we are going to study about the reliability and validity next week. Okay, so this part, so this thing you need to consider. Okay, if you are able to answer this question, then that will help to design your research method, which is technical part that we have discussed on this methodology chapter. There are other also, we are going to that, but this will give you the brief overview about how to write the methodology chapter. Okay, this is from the one perspective. You can write from the other perspective also. There is other way to write the research methodology chapter also. We'll discuss that part. But if you follow one of those standards, it will be easy for you. Okay, whatever you do, you can follow one of those strategy on writing the research method. So if you, again showing that research onion. Okay, now we have completed this philosophy part. Now you can relate your research question with in which philosophy it will lies. If you are not able to analyze your ontology or epistemology, then second layer. Now we move out, we need to move on the second layer. Okay, which is the approach. So how many times it is remaining? Okay, we have time. 5 minutes. Okay, you can discuss. So I have written one class up for you. So can you write about the deductive and inductive approach in your research? What is deductive and inductive approach in your research? This is the class of for you, and we'll start its discussion in next class. Okay, and we'll move on to the inner layer of the onion. Okay, and if you have any confused writing the methodology, now we are moving on to the chapter 4. Okay, and whatever it is we have to write and whatever we need to read for any of the method, we are going to study that. Okay, if you are clear on each layer of the onion, then that will be enough for any level of your education. Okay, any level of your education, the research will not hamper you. Okay, it will be very easy for you to understand each and every step of the research, whether you do the management research or whether you do the IT research or business research or anything. Whatever research do you do, then this will provide you the basic framework for conducting that research. So just the definition point of view. Okay, I'm just focusing what your what is inductive versus deductive. there is the stage for there is the defined stage for deductive and inductive approach. Okay, there are different stages. So as you already discussed, deductive is mainly used for testing the theory or hypothesis, whereas inductive is used to generate a theory. Yes, generate a theory. So there is the while testing a theory, there is a sequential process that you need to follow, and you can say that as a deductive approach. And when you say that you are developing a theory, then also there is a sequential stage that you need to follow. Then that overall stage you call as the inductive. Okay, induction and deduction or inductive deductive. There is other apps also, other approach nowadays, which you can see on different books also, which is abductive. Okay, abductive is the inductive and deductive iteration can be act as the abductive. You first deduce the theory, or you are going to induce the theory, again you are deduced that theory. Then that is the combination of deductive and inductive in a single research can act as an abductive. Okay, abduction. So you can find that also, but in our context it will be easy for us to understand the deductive and inductive, and it will work for us. Okay, so can you please stage, if you have any, you can write any stage. If I'm mainly focusing on this stage. Okay, stage that we need to follow while using the deduction or while using the induction. So I left that as an assignment for you, homework for you. Okay, you can please work on that. What I am trying to find, three things. Okay, three things I want from your that study. One is the definition, another is the stage. Please copy that. Okay, one is the definition, another is the stage, and third one is the characteristics. These three part: definition, stage, and characteristics of that approach. Okay, and you have to write that on the discussion section that we do on our next class. Okay, you might have written. Okay, we'll discuss that part on also on our next class. Okay, yeah, I'm looking for three answer. Okay, yes, yes, that is the definition. Okay, now two other things: stage and characteristics. That will be the assignment for you. Okay. Now this much for today, and you have to study yourself the different part. Okay, now you have also job to understand from your perspective relating with your research, whether what is the ontology, what is the technology, or if you are not clear on that part also, you need to be clear on the research question. Okay, research question. And when you formulate the research question, you need to be very clear whether I am using the opinion or perception to draw a conclusion or find the answer for my particular research question or not, or I am just focusing on the observation, measurement, and some relationship between those factors or not. You need to be very clear on that part. Okay, and if you are not clear in this proposal also, you need to be clear while writing the final report. Okay, and if you think you are using the both, you think some question is associated with positivism, some are associated with interpretism, there might be that context. Okay, you might feel that, and while you conduct your research, then that will give you the clarity in which aspect, in which philosophy you are really moving on. Okay, while executing the research, then that will provide you the insight for that. And while writing the final report, you can again change that philosophical underpinnings for your research. Okay, so we'll discuss that part, and if you have any questions also, we'll discuss on Monday. Okay.